episode 249. Happiness is a byproduct of a life well lived.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And a very happy host indeed. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, what's this episode going to be about? Well, I introduced it yesterday that, happiness is merely a byproduct of a life well lived. And nothing could be more true than that because, even though I am in a situation where, I'm not wealthy, by probably a lot of y'all's definition, but I can make ends meet quite well, and that is a byproduct or the happiness resulting out of that. The happiness of not being in a situation where I have to answer to anyone, except my better half constantly, always, the drill. So, but seriously though, it's this thing where, happiness really kicks in too late for a lot of us, particularly those pursuing the 9-to-5 thing for, 40 years on the workforce, and that kind of ordeal. And you're like, okay, then you retire and then you're happy for, what? An average of about another 7 years, with anyone paying you a pension, hoping that you die very, very, very soon. And that's something, I don't know whether that's, that for me at least wasn't something that I aspired towards. I wanted to be happy, but I only found out, about what it means to be happy by quitting what was making me happy at that time. And that it may seem like a weird transition or, a kick in the nads or whatever you want to call it, but you can be happy in different ways, in different situations in life. So, up until until I met my better half and, retired, I was like, okay, look, interesting situation. I'm working my ass off, making shitloads of money, changing the world, and just having so much influence, knowing the people that I knew and still know, I could really move something and shake something in the world. But then came the moment, and I've repeatedly mentioned this, where I was like, okay, I can't take the money with me, right? To the other world. And essentially, I'm killing myself for this job. Most importantly, though, for the wealth of other people. Now, again, I was far from, being in a situation where I would call myself poor. I was making shitloads of money, but these people with my knowledge were making so much more money. Yeah, they had, even more stress than I did. Right. But at the end of the day, you were like, okay, look, then came this moment of thought where I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Can I be happy otherwise? And I said to myself, okay, look, the money, okay, yeah, I can't take it with me. Done deal. But what do I do instead? Because that's the only thing that I'm good at is making money and sharing my knowledge for the profitability of other people or other organizations. And, it took a long time for me to contemplate that I was happier doing nothing. Well, and by nothing, I don't mean nothing. Of course, I was still reading books, shitloads of articles, trying to make sense of the world, and, new things arose in my mind, and I, worked on them to make them even better and more perfect and whatnot. Anyhow, where am I going with this? So I did notice that, just learning, mere learning, could make me happy as well. And that I didn't need, to spend obscene amounts of money on clothes or, trips. Hey, I'd seen the world. I've lived in probably over a dozen countries, visited a multitude more, been exposed to so many cultures, have seen a lot of the riches of the world, some civilizations that it was just this insane ride for a decade, and it wore me out. Not mentally, but physically. I was getting older, and then came this point where, where it just made click. And I said, what is happiness? And happiness is really that's what it is. Happiness is a byproduct of a life well lived. And that's something which I think a lot of people really need to understand, that there's no way you can achieve happiness if you haven't lived a good life. So what's a good life? Is it shitloads of money? Maybe. Is it, healthy food? Maybe. Is it cooking? Maybe. You're getting the point. The happiness or a well-lived life is what you determine that to be, right? And so there's this interesting hype going on about, happiness being this, that, and the other. And I just think that's a ridiculous claim, right? Anyone that, tries to enforce their, equation of happiness upon you, kick them out of the fucking door, because they have no idea what your priorities are. I don't know what makes you happy. That's really the thing about it. That's what you have to figure out for yourself, right? Do you need millions or, even billions, and the aspiration and the work? And if you need that to be happy, go for it. That's totally up to you and nobody else, right? For me, I figured out it was more about helping people, by the amounts of, invoiceable hours that I've forgotten and shoved into projects and just never sent an invoice because I couldn't be bothered to kind of point out that money wasn't really important to me. It was okay, as long as I could sustain myself, and I never spent any money. I never had the time, and I never really spent money on anything but, a few items that were of value to me. Right? I didn't give a fuck what other people thought, how I looked like, or, any obscenely expensive fragrances to, cover my body odor, or, whatever it was at the end of the day that made other people, I just didn't care. I was in a position where I was so fucking good at what I did because I was always passionate about what I did that, there was no real reason for me to disguise myself, in some kind of costume. I did sometimes, yeah, sure. But I would always keep my kind of trademark appearance, whatever, my unique appearance, let's call it that, and I was just myself because that just made me happy, and it made me happy to work. It made me happy to change the world. It made me happy to help other people. And there we are. And that's why essentially I'm doing this fucking podcast, and that's why, by the way, short excursion here, share the content, please, because it just helps other people and it's free. There you go. It's purely altruistic. So do your altruistic duty and share it. No, but seriously, where am I going with this? God damn it, I have no idea. Living your life is insanely important. It goes to show that you shouldn't really give a damn about other people's opinions, right? It's what makes you happy. It's what makes you tick, and I don't know, whatever bizarre form of life makes you tick. If that is your definition of a life well lived, go for it. I don't care what it is at the end of the day. It's your life. As long as you don't step on my toes, you're good to go. Just make sure you don't step on anybody's toes. You can do whatever you want, with whomever you want, or, whatever. It just doesn't matter. If you live your life well, happiness is going to be guaranteed. And That's going to be the byproduct of a life well lived. So in that sense, I hope I made sense because the random ramblings were coming in again. I hope I was able to make sense to some of you, at least. If you have inquiries, as always, please email the very best podcast in the world at gmail.com. If you have difficulties sharing the content through your podcast app, visit the very best podcast in the world.com, and under each and every episode and page and whatever, there's a list of shiny blinky icons for pretty much every social network out there on the planet. Please make sure to share this, because otherwise you're going to make your friends and your family prone to falling victim to these wallet rapists out there. In that sense, I hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. And if you've already had your Thursday, have a good night. Leave your hands above the blanket. We'll be in touch tomorrow for Exercise Friday, where we're going to be talking about mental alchemy. See you soon, folks. Bye-bye.